He went over to the station, took a piece of redfish, seasoned it, passed it through melted butter, and put it in the skillet. Now I'm next to him, frantically trying to get ready, and I see all this smoke billowing up. Didn't say a word, doing the side eye, and then he flipped the fish. My eyes got bigger. It was blackened, smoking like crazy. And then he took it out and put it on a plate. He said, "Frank, taste this." And I took the first bite of blackened redfish. I said, "This is the best damn fish I've ever had in my life." So I was backline sauté from then on. They didn't tell me it was a two-man station. You have to embrace diversity. Don't hate it. Somebody's different from you. Somebody's different food. Somebody looks different. Why do you hate that?
Yeah.
Embrace it. That's the beauty in life.
Mm-hmm.
That's the prettiest dish I have ever seen.
Man, that's nuts.
Look,
Oh, look at that.
you hate to mess it up.
Right? Did you know that close to 97% of you aren't subscribed to this channel? It costs nothing, it's 2 clicks, just a little bit of time. And if you're like my wife, you probably forgot your password, just create another account and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow, and we want to grow the show because it's a blast and we want you to be a part of it. Don't forget, when we eat at a restaurant, go eat there, watch it, use headphones because you're not insane, or order takeout, support the places we go to because we have not had a bad meal yet.
Nope. Tip big while you're there.
And it's not just because of the conversations, because great food and a lot of really hardworking people behind the scenes. And we want to thank everybody who's made our little show happen. So thank you. Subscribe. Frank Brigtsen. So you have this is kind of like a New South origin story because you spent a lot of time learning from Frank, and he was the right-hand man to Paul Prudhomme. Who is Paul Prudhomme for those who are uninitiated?
So here's the deal. Paul Prudhomme, I think in these days, it's a shame. I think he's underappreciated. And people don't realize the impact that man made on American cuisine. You know, everybody talks about James Beard, the James Beard Award, Julia Child, but she was doing French cooking. But it's really Paul Prudhomme, for me at least. And, he was the real deal. He was at Commander's Palace. He came from the bayous of Louisiana. And he was at Commander's Palace, and Frank Brigtsen was his sous chef there. And then when he went to open Cape Halls, he took Frank with him. And, and this is covered in the episode, but I think people also don't realize that, now you hear a lot about pop-ups. Restaurant pop-ups here, restaurant pop-ups there. The very first restaurant pop-up was Paul Prudhomme, and guess who was cooking on the Blackening station? Frank Brigtsen. And so he was a hero of mine, and I got to meet him, which we cover there. And you grow up, and especially back then in the 70s and maybe the 80s a little bit, what you saw were these chefs that were temperamental French guys throwing pots and pans and just mean, and he was, I didn't know what to expect when I went down there to meet him. And when I went into the kitchen, and I was amazed, it was just him and another guy and 4 burners, and he's cooking the whole restaurant. And he was the most kind, gracious, welcoming gentleman I'd ever met. And ever since then, he's at the top of the list. I think if you asked most chefs in New Orleans, who's the best chef in New Orleans, most of them are gonna mention Frank Brigtsen. He'll be in the top 3 for sure. He's a legend. He's had that same restaurant there in that shotgun house at the River Bend since I think 85, somewhere in there, 86. I think 86, because I opened in 87. He opened a year before I did. Great man.
Truly great man. And you'll notice in the episode how kind he is, how much he made everybody feel involved. He's, like you talked about, the restaurant eyes, really wanted to make sure everybody was eating. Even our PA Tanner, who's, off camera and just going he's trying to be polite and quiet. I'm going, no, you can answer him. He's like, Tanner, did you eat yet? You'll see. I just getting to cut it. We had shot this in August. So getting to cut it this many months later, I'd forgotten a lot of that. And I was like, oh man, I do remember though that Frank made me feel very welcomed. And it makes sense that he's had such an illustrious career in the restaurant business because he does genuinely care about how you're doing. Are you fed? Or do you feel okay, you know? And it's just a special kind of energy. And after doing Ali Petit's episode as well, where he's so much like that, there's a common thread amongst all these people that while we were filming, especially because it was early, maybe didn't realize it. And then getting to watch it back has been really fun. And I hope everybody who gets to watch this kind of feels part of that too.
You know, I think the common thread, in addition to longevity, is just they are kind, caring people. As is Charles Morgan. I mean, you think about the people who have been in this restaurant business is brutal. And I mean, it's rough and tough. And if you're not just passionate and totally in love with it, you know, it'll eat you alive. The kind and compassionate ones, like Frank, I mean, what you see on camera in this episode, what you see is absolutely every encounter I've ever had with that man over the last 38 years. Just gentle, giving, caring, concerned, and so talented.
Genuine talent, basically. We shared a meal at Rosedale, which is Susan Spicer's restaurant. We had shot with her previous in the day, and that was Frank's choice. It was a great choice. I know you love Rosedale. If you were a restaurant, that you would be Rosedale is what you said, something to that effect. And so it was so much fun to eat there. There were some really special moments with some of the staff and Frank as well, because Frank is like, I mean, I think he should be called Saint Frank. I really do think he should be up for sainthood. But also, it's cool to see people in the restaurant business, the reverence they have for him. You know, same as like, you know, where I would look at a certain drummer because I spent so much time trying to be good at something. You see someone who's really done really well in that avenue, you can see the reverence they have, and there were some really cool moments throughout the episode.
I always thought it was interesting. I wasn't surprised at all. You know, we let our guests choose whatever restaurant they want to choose, and we'll tell them, you know, you got to eat, so we'll sit down and share a meal wherever you want. It was no surprise he chose Rosedale, Susan's restaurant, because those two, they're really of the same culinary generation out of New Orleans, and they're very, very good friends. And, you know, he didn't hesitate when we were asking him, oh yeah, Rosedale. And had we been able to go to dinner with Susan in her episode, promise you she would have chosen Brigtsen, but we did breakfast.
Well, we jam-packed it because we had Mason the night before, which is out, so check our channel out for that. Then Susan for breakfast at Toast, which was great. This lunch at Rosedale with Frank, and then
for dinner.
And Eric cooked for dinner.
I forgot, we did 4 in 4 meal periods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good job.
Man, it was crazy. It was so cool. It was so much fun. But yeah, this is a great episode, and we hope you enjoy. This is You Gotta Eat number 6 with Frank Brigtsen.
Onward.
Tanner, did you have anything to eat yet today?
Oh, yes, sir. We had breakfast this morning.
He wasn't with us yesterday. Drew was doing all of it himself. So we're blessed with Tanner today.
Tanner's awesome. Love having Tanner around.
Everybody needs a Tanner.
Everyone needs, that's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a Tanner.
You're welcome.
We gotta give Frank 10% on that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me make sure everything's. Can you see from there?
Put that Elizabeth Taylor filter on this one with the galls.
Very smoky.
Give me some galls, man.
Yeah.
I used to do that Doris Day too, because she had acne.
Really? Man, I had a big old crush on Doris Day in 1970.
She was hot.
Yeah, I was 10, but still.
Vibrant,
Still thought you had a chance.
spirit.
Yeah, I was in Italy several years ago, and I got on kicks with music, and I got on a Doris Day kick, and I was like, her voice was so pure.
Yes.
But
She
she's a
might
good
have
actress.
been my first crush too, actually.
Yeah.
No, it's Debbie Reynolds. Debbie
Tammy.
Reynolds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was Paula Abdul. I used to watch the TV.
He's a
Real
kid.
lit. Yeah, sorry, but face on the television
Yeah.
anytime she was on.
She's got a presence.
I think he likes her.
I think probably my real first crush was Samantha Stevens on Bewitched.
Oh my
It was
God!
Elizabeth
yeah.
Montgomery.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that was it.
Absolutely.
And I think I went from there to Marsha Brady. It was a little too young for you at that point, but
Those are pretty solid choices.
Yeah, Bewitched for sure.
and then it was Stevie
Oh, thank
Nicks.
you, man.
You quite well.
Do what?
Then
Lovely.
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, she's still
Bohemian.
fabulous.
We're on, man. We're ready whenever.
Yeah.
No, just do your thing.
Yeah. Just
It's a Stevie Nicks story. So
I want to hear
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Give us a Stevie Nicks story. Come in.
before Fleetwood Mac was famous,
Yeah.
they were all hanging out at Deja Vu in New Orleans. The stairs to Deja Vu are really, really steep, like crazy steep.
Yeah.
And Stevie Nicks was going up in front of my mom, and this is like the mid 70s.
Yeah.
And she fell backwards. She was tipsy. She fell backwards, and my mom caught her
Oh.
and threw her up the stairs and
Oh
literally
my
saved her life.
God.
So Stevie Nicks turned around, hugged my mom, bought her a beer, told her she loved her.
Oh my God.
But no Deborah Callaghan, no Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that crazy?
Nice.
That is crazy. It's a small world.
Thank you, Deborah, wherever you are.
Yeah, thanks,
My
Deborah.
friend Paula Collins, my friend used to own Deja Vu.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a hot spot. If you wanted to get dirty,
Yeah.
she needed drugs.
Yeah.
Her daughter was the server for me.
Really?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
still
wow.
friends.
I saw they're closing the dungeon.
No way.
Yeah, they're closed. Did you hear that, Steve?
Aren't they going to reopen it?
I don't know.
New
Maybe
owner
so.
or something?
I don't know. I know back in my wilder days, that,
Oh,
was,
yeah.
that was 3 in the morning. Did you ever go to the dungeon? 3 in the morning?
They open at midnight or something?
Is the dungeon closing? That's what we heard it was closing?
I think that's an urban legend.
That might be a
Okay.
good. I saw a story about it.
Repurposing, I think. Look, I got a little something.
Oh,
here
look
for
at
you
you.
guys to nibble on while we're
Oh,
talking
my
here.
God, how
That is gonna
beautiful.
be a drum and swordfish ceviche.
Oh.
We're gonna have some grilled pineapple and avocado.
That is beautiful.
As well
Look at
as some shishito peppers on top.
That's
Y'all
every
enjoy
color in the
Dude,
rainbow.
that's the
Look how
prettiest
beautiful
food I've
that
ever
is.
seen.
Wow.
Man,
Phone eats first.
we got all 3 of us getting in there.
Everyone.
Look at that.
See, that's the thumbnail for the episode. Is us all
Yeah.
take a picture? Go take a picture.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How many photos and videos can you get of one area at the same time?
That's the prettiest dish I have ever seen.
Man, that's nuts.
that.
That's beautiful.
Look,
Oh, look at that.
yeah. I had the best angle.
You sure did.
You hate to mess it up.
Right?
And I am in no way, shape, or form rushing anyone, but
No,
I hear
no, no.
someone has to be somewhere by 2:30.
Yeah, Frank's got to get all that
3 o'clock
haircut.
haircut. It's only 10 minutes away.
Those beautiful locks have to be trimmed.
No, you're good.
All this doesn't just happen.
What's up, Chef?
Hey!
How are you?
Aw.
I got another treat.
Oh my God.
Doing all right?
Yes.
Good to see you.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you.
Pimento cheese fried chicken slider.
No way.
Nice, beautiful.
Thank
This
you
is the
so
prettiest
much.
dish
Chef.
I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Oh my God.
This is
Thank
unreal.
you.
Come tell us. Talk us through these. Give us the inspiration.
Sesame aioli. That's a sambal pepper jelly, grilled avocado and pineapple, and then the shishito peppers on top. Some ceviche. Just have some really nice fresh fish right now. So
What's your inspiration there? How long have you been doing it?
this is new together. So you can
Like
tell
new
me what you
today?
think. Yeah, just now.
Frank says the most beautiful dish he's ever
It
seen.
is.
Well,
I mean it.
that sounds good.
Ceviche St. John.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
no, don't give me the credit. That's hers.
Yeah, just good ingredients around.
Yeah. Wow.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Y'all enjoy
Thank
it.
you.
Yes.
So proud of you. Thank you.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
Nice.
What a start.
Yeah.
That's the
Hey, well, I can't
wildest
talk
start
for
we've
30
had.
minutes, so
Right. We didn't think about that where you go, okay, let's have a show where we talk and
one
eat.
person eats at a time
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically. Just take turns. So anyway.
and chew quick.
Chef,
Yep.
dig in. You start. Do us the honors. We got some chips here too. While you're digging in,
So at Rosedale, to set this, we set that stage, and this is one of your favorites.
what we want to do, we want to just talk to our friends, to people we want to meet, to people we're fond of, interested in, fascinated with. You check all those boxes, as you know.
Thank you.
And then we don't want to take too much of anyone's time, but we figure, you got to eat. So why don't we just meet over lunch or breakfast or dinner?
Brilliant.
We always let the guests choose wherever they want to choose. You chose Rosedale,
Right away.
which I love that choice because I've told people before, present company excluded. When I talk about Rosedale, you know how I feel about Brigtsen's. So, but I got I told Susan earlier, if somebody got out a napkin and said, let's design a restaurant for Robert, this would be it. It's casual, you got the chefs in the kitchen back there. The barbecue shrimp to me is the gold standard. I love it. And so the fact that you chose this was like, oh, great.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Why'd you choose it?
Well, I love Susan Spicer. We've been buddies for a long time, 35 years plus. And I love her as a person and a chef. I admire and respect her as a chef. She's the hardest working chef in town.
Amen.
She and Nina Compton are so admirable in their work ethic. But what drives Susan is her joy of creating food that makes people happy, the basic fundamentals of what we do.
Yeah.
And she's still in the kitchen whenever she can,
As are you.
Her husband wants her to retire. She won't do it. When she got the Ella Brennan Hospitality Award a couple of years ago, she gave a beautiful speech, and then her husband got up and spoke. And he kept saying he just wants Susan to start saying no. And he said it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But that's not Susan.
She can't do it.
No. If you ask her to do something, she's in. If there's a good cause, a fundraiser, she's in. And I just admire that. She gets such gratification from what she does. And we all know that food is such a great medium to share with people, whether it's just 3 people at a table or 500 people at a fundraising event for a good cause. And you can make a difference in the world with a plate of food.
Totally agree.
Man.
And there's a Spicer work ethic.
Yes.
I think it's amazing. I'm humbled by her work ethic as well as your work ethic.
Thank you.
And I don't know anybody, and I've been in the business not as long as you, but 43 years, and know a lot of people in the business. I don't know anybody who has gone. When did you start at Commanders? I know you were kind of a sandwich guy at 14 or 15, but how old were you? It was after college or during college? After college to Commanders.
Yeah, I was 24 years old in 1978 when I got hired by Chef Paul Prudhomme at Commanders. And it took 3 interviews. The first interview, there was probably 20 plus people in the patio filling out job apps. And Chef talked to me and he said, okay, thank you, Frank. Come back next week. So I came back the next week and there was maybe a dozen people. And did the same thing. He talked to everybody, talked to me. He said, great, Frank, thanks. Come back next week. So I come back the 3rd week and there's like 6 people. It was just getting called down. And he hired me. But interestingly, the way he did it was he offered me a choice. He said, Frank, you have a choice. We'll hire you as a broiler chef, put you on the front line, very busy, and we'll expect a lot out of you, but you'll get paid well. Or you can start in the pantry making salads, making very little money, but you can expect a lot out of me. And I said, that's me.
I knew exactly what you were going to say there.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, the broiler station at Commanders is, at the time, it's where all the tickets came in.
Yeah.
And they had to order everything too, in addition to cook.
Right.
And we'd seat 300 people at a time. It's a lot of tickets. I'm not ready for that. But, Paul, what I say about Paul Prudhomme, and I think about him every single day, is he didn't just teach me how to cook. He taught me how to be a man. The important lessons in life. I told Marna this story yesterday. We have a dishwasher. He was a really great guy. Been with us a while. I've trained him in pantry. He's bright. But he's been just coming in late all the time with, bad excuses, traffic and stuff like that.
Right.
So I talked to him yesterday, but I told Marna this story. Back at Cape Paul's, early 80s, chef called a total kitchen staff meeting, which was very rare. Everybody came and sat down in the dining room. And I forget what it was about, but he spoke his piece. And this employee, his nickname was Cowboy. Cowboy raised his hand. Chef called on him. He stood up. He said, "Chef, who's my supervisor?" Chef Paul said, "Cowboy, sit down. Everybody else stand up. Those are your supervisors." There's a lesson there.
Yeah.
As I explained to Marn, and we both agree, of course, but it's not about that. Who has the right to tell you something? We're in this together.
It's a team.
Yeah. I don't hire from resumes. They're, you got to have them, and they're great. But the lesson I learned from Paul is I hire fire and desire. If you're willing to come in and do whatever it takes, I'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
I'll teach you everything I know if you have that initiative.
Did he ever, or did you ever ask, once you out of this field of however many it was originally at Commanders, what it was about you, or do you have a sense of what it was about you that, you have been making sandwiches. What was it that he saw in you, rightfully so, obviously great intuition. What do you think it was if you never had that discussion?
I don't know. I've thought about that. I don't know if I've ever put it in words, but the final step was he brought over his sous chef, Paul Miller. And they had my job application in front of them, and chef's pointing at it, and he told Paul Miller, Frank doesn't have, any fine dining experience, but he has, a good record here, working in a sandwich shop and a pasta place. And I forget his wording, but something to the effect that he deserves a chance. And that's the lesson I learned from Paul too.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves a chance.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves an opportunity. And that's my joy in the last 20 years. In my teaching up at Nicholls State or at NOCA, I've had the opportunity to bring that full circle and give people a chance. Right now I have 2 Nicholls graduates in my kitchen. I had a 16-year-old NOCA student working with me for a while. And my joy comes from just watching. Watching them learn and grow and become the people they want to be.
Yeah.
That's what I can do now.
That process, though, Commanders, once you got the job, what was day one like?
Oh my God. Well, we were doing 500-600 covers a night for dinner.
Yeah.
And on Sunday jazz brunch, 700 plus. So I'm in the pantry, and Steve Gamble is training me. He went on to open his own restaurant. And after 2 days, he cut me loose. So I'm on the station by myself. And I went to work every day with knots in my stomach. I'm never going to get set up. I'm never going to get set up. And you never are set up. Even between tickets, you're prepping, making more whipped cream, doing something, making a baked Alaska, doing something. You're never set up.
Bread pudding souffle, were they doing that back then?
No, that came later after I was gone.
That's a good thing.
I'll tell you that story.
All right.
And it was weeks later, couple months later, when I left the pantry and they put 2 people in there, that I realized that's a 2-person station.
And they're
I
just
did it by
working you.
myself.
Yeah. Whoa.
So about
crazy.
opportunity, you know, in our business, performance brings opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter your resume if you have a college degree.
Chef saw that.
Yes. So one day we're just about to open, and next to me is Hot Apps, which is mostly baked oysters. And Paul Miller, the sous chef, came over to John on that station and said, "John, you been drinking?" John said, "I had a couple of beers." Said, "Go home. Frank, you're on Hot Apps." Okay. I crushed it, man. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And so I learned Hot Apps. That was about 4 weeks in. And then I think John got straightened out, and I went back to pantry. And one Sunday morning, prepping for brunch, I'm prepping 5 flats of strawberry. And apparently, the sous chef had changed the schedule. And a couple of the chefs, line chefs, weren't there. They didn't come in. So Jay Blair on the front line, he said, "Frank, you know how to make an omelet?" I said, "No."
Very honest.
"Yes." 10 minutes later, "Frank, you know how to make an omelet?" I said, "No, Jay, I don't." Well, they put me on backline saute. Omelets, veal Lafayette, trout meuniere, all this stuff I had never done before. I'd never
4 weeks in.
Yeah, 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
I had never shaken a skillet in my life.
Still 6 weeks.
I had never shaken a skillet. And I did Sunday brunch.
Is
Backline
Chef Paul
saute.
on the line or no?
He sat up front and observed. He had a nice chair there where he kept an eye on everything. And so I was backline saute from then on. They didn't tell me it was a 2-man station.
That's crazy, man.
I believe that though.
Yeah.
And this is performance and opportunity. And the way things happen in our business, it's circumstances, not always a conscious decision. And then another day, a few more months in, I was there 6 months. I'm working lunch, backline saute, and the broiler chef didn't show up. "Frank, you're on broiler." "Ah, okay." So I look at the sheets for the day, you know, private parties, what the menu is, and started setting up the broiler station, which I'd never worked before in my life. And
High dollar proteins. And
Yeah,
things.
for sure.
That's the money.
I mean, a
Man.
lot of steaks.
Yeah.
And we had chicken, not chicken patel, but some other chicken dish. And we had beef tournedos, Coliseum Street. 2 little
remember that.
fillets, one with béarnaise,
Yeah.
one with Marchand du Vin.
Yeah.
So I went to the walk-in to pick up 40 orders of Marchand du Vin for the party.
Steve, you can just come on. Don't worry. I mean, we're going to be talking the whole time.
Please interrupt.
You just come and
you're
get
gonna
an
have
order and
You're with us, brother.
yeah. And we
You're with
we,
us.
We can probably go ahead and order.
What do you
know what
typically
you want, Chef?
get when you're
Cauliflower.
here?
He wants the
Cauliflower.
cauliflower.
You want the cauliflower to start, and then an entree, or you want the cauliflower like as an entree? I'm not judging. There's nothing wrong with cruciferous fish.
I'm not going to eat a ton. How about cauliflower and garlic bread?
You got it.
That's me.
Drew,
What was that? Bourbon fried chicken thighs?
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Thighs. Thigh don't lie.
It's chicken cheese and braised greens with bourbon fried chicken thighs. It's got a little bit of spice in the batter, and then we top it with honey Tabasco sauce.
how can you
And-
not?
It's not like
That's-
it's my
you twisting my arm?
That mac
It's
and
not my
cheese.
job to tell you how to eat, but from what I've been told, it's made so that you take a little bite of chicken, a little bit of mac, and a little bit of greens all in one bite.
Okay. All right. Nope. I can do that. I can handle that. Thank you.
I've been thinking about the barbecue shrimp for 2 days. It's not even a choice for me.
Tanner, you want something?
We're gonna feed Tanner too.
You can come back to me. I'll get some.
No.
I don't know. You got to order now or you don't eat.
Yeah, man.
You want that chicken sandwich?
Do the chicken sandwich. This was incredible.
duck
if
pastrami
that's any
sandwich.
indication.
I'm there.
Yeah, the chicken sandwich is great. That's
Easy, very easy. And did you want 5 or 9 barbecue shrimp?
Oh, 9.
Oh,
Is it?
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted.
Oh, that's
You're
all
at the
right.
broiler station.
Right. So we're setting up for lunch and doing things I never did before. But I saw on this party there was 40 people getting Tornadoes, Coliseum Street. So I went in the walk-in.
That's 80 fillets.
Yeah, there's a big Lexan of Marchand du Vin sauce. So I brought a pot and I'm dipping up 40 orders. I put it on the stove and sous chef Paul Miller had just walked in and he looks at me. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Heating up Marchand du Vin for the party in the patio room." Okay.
Okay.
Because he makes the Marchand du Vin.
Yeah.
It's like, why is he heating up a gallon for lunch service?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But I was smart enough to check the sheets to see what's going on today.
yeah.
So, but you know, that was Paul's style. And I just saw him last week. He came to have dinner with us. We're still
Where
friends.
did he go after Commanders?
Well, interestingly, he came to Cape Paul's. So,
Was he Sue there?
nope. He worked under me. Awkward.
So let me get this straight. Let me get the timeline straight. 6 months at Commanders.
Right.
And Paul is out with Ella's blessing, I guess. Or no?
Well, he took me out of Commanders and put me in Cape Paul's. And he still had 3 months left in his contract.
I didn't know that. I thought he broke clean. Was that a clean break for him with he and the
for
Brennans?
sure.
They
Yeah,
supported that?
for sure. He and Kay had opened Cape Paul's while he was still at Commanders. And it had been open about 8 months as a lunch place.
Picnic tables, community seating, communal seating, the whole thing.
Daily specials,
Yeah.
5 days a week, that's it for lunch. And that same day I was setting up the broiler, the chef was on his chair, and I came around the line to get some plates to heat them up, put them in the oven. And I had like 20 big plates. And he said, "Frank." "Yes, chef." "How do you feel about sauces?" "Really like them?" That's what I said.
Yeah, what?
He said, no, let me rephrase that. "How would you like to come work with me at Cape Paul's where I could teach you the nuances of sauce making?"
Dude, that.
That was verbatim.
Wow.
And I never heard of Cape Paul's.
Yeah.
I just said, "Yes, chef."
What a pivotal moment.
To be in that scenario.
That's
at
a
all.
life-changing conversation right there,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
It made my life.
Yeah.
It made my life what it is today. And
How do you feel about sauces?
yeah.
Dude.
No, but I mean, he was such a. I don't think people understand. But people maybe in this area, and he was known nationally. He got so huge, but I don't think people understand the impact that man had on American cuisine. Because really, American cuisine wasn't it. And when he came, it was maybe Julia Child was just doing French.
Yes.
And maybe Alice Waters was coming along, but not in an
Starting to.
To be legit chef, you had to be in a French kitchen doing
European
stuff,
trained.
not regional American on top of that. I mean, it's hot now. We think, oh, it's regional American. That's what everybody's into. There's a limit on redfish in the Gulf because of Paul Prudhomme. You used to catch all the redfish you wanted to until blackened redfish came along.
The limit at the time for sports fishing
Yeah,
was 200 redfish and 200 trout.
yeah,
There was no limit.
yeah.
But I do remember picking up the newspaper one morning, a few years before all this, and on the front page was a story about Ella and Dick Brennan hiring Chef Paul Prudhomme, a Cajun man.
Yeah.
This was front page news because of what you just said.
Yeah.
Commander's Palace, one of the top restaurants in town, did not hire a European trained chef.
Yeah.
That was so revolutionary. And that's the courage that Ella and Dick had. They were really taking a chance.
Yeah.
And, but you hit on it, Rob. In 1980 was when American cuisine, those two words got put together.
Right.
It wasn't together before.
There was no Beard Foundation.
None of it. Craig Claiborne was instrumental, writing for the New York
From
Times.
Mississippi.
Yes, exactly right. He was pivotal because he brought Paul up to do some big function in New York and wrote about him a lot and, kind of facilitated his rise a little bit. But the synchronicity of Paul Prudhomme doing what he was doing here on Charter Street, Alice Waters in Berkeley, Wolfgang Puck in LA, really pioneering, like Alice did, buying local stuff. And
Who would have been in New York?
I was just going to say, Larry Forgione.
Forgione.
Larry Forgione, around this time, 1980, 81 maybe, opened a restaurant on the Upper East Side of Manhattan called An American Place.
Oh, wow.
And his cuisine, he researched indigenous people cuisine, New England cuisine. The cedar plank salmon thing started there.
Wow.
I've just learned that.
That's
Yes,
huge.
yes. A Native American style of cooking.
Right.
And he had an all-American wine list. People were shocked.
Yeah.
That made the paper in Manhattan, the New York Times, that he had no French wine, all American wines.
Yeah, I think people don't understand today.
No.
I mean, everybody knows Napa Valley and
Napa,
Sonoma
Napa,
and the whole
Napa.
thing. It wasn't a thing.
No. It took people like this to facilitate the awareness and education. And that happens a lot in dining rooms. You talk to your servers about a dish. They go to the table, and if the customer sees that light in their eyes, they're going to order it. For me, especially in the early years, was educating my staff on fish, types of fish. And I would...
Because you're a sportsman, too.
Oh yeah, I fished hard all my life, every Monday for 25 years. And my favorite fish is sheep's head.
That's my number 2. I'm a
Right?
triple tail guy.
Oh,
Sheep's head,
love
number 2.
triple tail.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question on that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's all right.
When when we fished back, when I was fishing a lot back in the 70s, we had a fish camp. We were on the Pascagoula River. We threw back sheep's head because the yield was so bad.
Yeah, it's like 20%.
And it wasn't until I opened a restaurant we started buying it because the price was right. Like in the late 80s, $1.95 a pound. I think.
Yeah.
That I was like, man, look how many sheep's head we threw away.
Yeah.
that
Well,
we
they're
could've-
no fun to clean.
Yeah, and the yield's terrible too.
Yeah, the yield is like 20%, 20%. But if you buy fillets from your wholesaler,
They do the work for you.
it's still, right now, today in 2025, perhaps the only wild fish under $10 a pound.
Yeah.
But it's so delicious. The taste, the texture, I just love it. And so back in the 80s and 90s, when early years of Brigtsen's, I had, I forget the book. I think it was written by a Mississippi guy, a fish guide. And I would go up on the copy machine and make copies for the waitstaff of sheep's head.
Yeah.
Or triple tail, or whatever fish is new, mahi, whatever it might be. And at pre-meal meeting, I would talk about it and educate them. I'm honest in my menu.
Yeah.
I don't call something red snapper because it'll sell better.
Right.
I call it sheep's head.
Yeah.
Great fish with a lousy name. I call it the Rodney Dangerfield of fish.
It's pretty ugly too.
Well, yeah, and really tricky to clean because the dorsal fins are like ice picks. I mean, they will.
Oh yeah.
They will hurt you.
They'll get you.
But you get the hang of it. There's a natural seam along the dorsal fin, and you start there and open it up, cut over the rib cage, and not as easy as a speckled trout, but let the professionals do that for you.
I want to back up just a second because I was just thinking as we started talking about the early days of Cape Paul's and when you made the switch, and you only get a first time one time, obviously. I would love to have never been to Cape Paul's and to go back and experience that the first time I did. When I came in, there were picnic tables, and we were seated from with another couple, I think from San Francisco or somewhere, and it was totally original, to me at least. I think certainly to New Orleans. There was nothing like that in New Orleans, in the Quarter. And talk about being a part of that, because I mean you were there at the forefront of that, and the all of a sudden when was it and what was it that just all of a sudden it just blew up? Today Show and all the things.
It didn't take long. When I moved over there was when we opened for dinner. So it went from a lunch place to lunch and dinner. And like I said, Chef Paul still had his job at Commander's for another 3 months. So he would come into Cape Paul's and do the pot cooking, make the soups and the sauces early in the morning. And I'd come in about 10:30 a.m. and he and I would talk over the lunch menu. And then I would do lunch service by myself with a helper in the pantry and a dishwasher. Three of us.
Wait, go back. Because I know you did this at Brigtsen's for decades.
It was Miss Thelma and her daughter Cheryl.
Man, how many seats?
55.
55 seats. There's Frank and what, basically a prep cook?
Fry and pantry, salads.
Fry and pantry, doing salads and desserts probably.
Yes.
And then a dishwasher.
Yep. And dishwashed by hand. There was no dishwashing machine for years.
Wow.
Everything, glassware, skillets, everything washed by hand.
How was the kitchen outfitted? Was the equipment legit, or had he just kind of pieced together something?
It
on
was
a budget?
pieced together. We had a 6-burner stove with a griddle, flat top griddle, 2 ovens.
Steam jacket?
No, that was it.
You're doing
Yeah.
all those stocks?
We did everything on that one stove, and then a tabletop fryer. And, you know.
Pretty much the Brigtsen's kitchen when I first went back
Oh,
there.
absolutely, yeah. And, you know, before Cape Paul's, the property was a place called Austin's. And it was a cafe, but it was really a bookie joint. I hope nobody's alive from that era. But behind the bar was a closet. And in the closet was a bank of about 12 phones.
Booking beds.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So what was it like those early days? I can't imagine the energy, because I felt the energy the first time I went in there.
Yeah.
I want to know if
It was so unique.
well, like looking back, it's easy to say with hindsight how big of a deal it was in your life. Did you know it was that big of a deal while it was happening? Or was it more just kind of in the weeds where, because I feel like that's pretty normal to, something awesome could be happening, but you're just worried about what's right in front of you. It's hard to see the forest for the trees.
That's right. And that's an issue with chefs in general. We have tunnel vision on our stations and our prep lists and stuff like that. But it exploded pretty quickly. But going back to your question, you know, about the community seating and all that stuff, you got to remember there's a K and there's a Paul.
Yeah.
And that was K's name, just the letter K.
Yeah. I never knew her.
And the kitchen was Paul's, and the front was hers. You dine at K. Paul's, you play by K's rules. Community seating, so we could max out the seating.
Yeah.
And they met at Hotel Provençal in the Quarter. She was manager, he was a chef. That's how they fell in love. But it was a unique set of rules, and there were strict rules. There was no alcohol in the restaurant. And then ultimately, they relented. Chef is not a drinker. He hates alcohol. And eventually, we got red wine and white wine, period. And then people, you know, no cocktails. So Chef said, I'll fix them. He created the Cajun martini.
Yeah. Jill had one.
He marinated sliced jalapenos in the vodka for a couple of days. He wanted to make something so horrible nobody would drink it. And of course,
It became a thing.
That's
it
hilarious.
took off.
Wow.
But, you know, after 3 months, Chef's contract was up at Commander's, and he came to K-Paul's full time. So then it was him on the stove and me next to him expediting, plating up, and always doing the side eye, watching his movements, the little things, those nuances of sauces, I learned by the side eye. I watched every move he made.
I would give a section of my little finger to have just spent a week watching that right there.
It was amazing. And, you know, the first blackened redfish, I was right there. We were setting up, you know, maybe 20 minutes before opening, and he heated up a black iron skillet, smoking hot, and I'd set up the line. There was a doorway by the stove that led out to the patio. And we'd use it during the day, and then for service, we put 2 boards across and set up the station in cut-out Wesson oil containers.
This is one of the most legendary restaurants in America.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so makeshift. A window unit up here that would go out all the time, and a wall phone. And so he went over to the station, our station, and took a piece of redfish, seasoned it, passed it through melted butter, and put it in the skillet. Now I'm next to him, frantically trying to get ready. I think I was working with zucchini or something. And I see all this smoke billowing up. Didn't say a word, doing the side eye.
Yeah.
And then he flipped the fish. My eyes got bigger. It was blackened, smoking like crazy. And then he took it out and put it on a plate. He said, "Frank, taste this." And I took the first bite of blackened redfish. I said, "This is the best damn fish I've ever had in my life." I might have gotten a second bite, but by then the doors opened and people started streaming in because they were lined up. And he took that one plate of fish, blackened redfish, the first one, and started walking through the aisle offering people a little taste.
To have been there.
What?
Yeah.
See, people don't understand. But you go to TGI Fridays and they're doing blackened chicken or something. I do blackened
Right.
fish. I mean, it's nationwide now, but what he's talking about
Yeah.
is the very first time that was done outside the bayou,
Right.
in some Cajun country, in an actual restaurant for sale. It's a nationwide thing that started with those 2 men, and this is one of them right
You
here.
were there. That's wild.
How many blackened redfish or fish have you done?
Well, you know, when I was getting ready to leave K. Paul's after 6 years, we were sitting around after work, me and the chefs, and Jan Birnbaum, my late friend, asked me, he said, "Frank, how many redfish do you think you've blackened?" And I had been in purchasing for a year. I was we'd buy 100 fillets a day. So I did the math. I said, "Give me a calculator." And I estimated 60,000 blackened redfish.
Before you even open Brigtsen.
Oh yeah, right.
Like, it's got to be 10x.
The Gulf worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than 500,000, right? Sitting in that chair. Everybody, all these chefs today doing pop-up restaurants here and pop-up restaurants there. He was part of the pop-up. There had never been, to my knowledge, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. To my knowledge, there had never been a pop-up restaurant ever done until Frank and Chef Paul took it. San Francisco was a
San Francisco.
Right? Talk about those days.
Oh my gosh.
Tell Drew just the concept that nobody ever thought of closing a restaurant
Yeah.
for the summer and moving the entire restaurant, the people,
The whole
in the
staff.
process, everybody to another city.
Yeah,
That's how big this wave was.
Yeah.
That you could actually do that. Talk about being a part of that.
Thank you, Rob. And it goes back to your question, Drew, about did I realize the big picture?
Yeah.
And things started just popping, you know, events, TV shows, things like that. And I quickly learned that for Chef Paul Prudhomme, nothing is impossible. If he could dream it, we did it. We'd get in a plane with 40 boxes of food. Just pull up to Delta. And I'd start, unloading with the sky caps, and he'd just start peeling off hundreds for the sky caps. They knew him, and they held the plane for us once. But
Do you remember what year San Francisco was?
83.
83.
Yeah.
Early. That's like right in the heat of when it was the book out?
no,
The book wasn't out yet?
No.
Okay. Keep going. I'm sorry.
no, and I think Kay, especially, had become friends with. I forget the gentleman's name, but he was one of Bill Graham's associates. Bill Graham, the music producer.
Yeah.
Big promoter.
And I'm guessing that's where the conversation started, because we went for a month, picked up and moved to San Francisco. All the chefs and servers housed in apartments. And it was in one of Bill Graham's properties. It was a comedy club, and there was a kitchen. So,
Kind of a kid.
kind of a kitchen.
Legally, it was a kitchen.
And so everybody went, except Raymond Sutton stayed home to ship stuff to us. In our walk-in, which was as big as this table. You couldn't even walk in the walk-in. So, as things happen in life, thank you, oh my gosh,
Cauliflower.
my favorite dish. I knew I ordered enough. I think they overdid it. That's a double order.
I think I kind of get what you're saying as far as realizing things have popularity, but the way you operated maybe didn't reflect the attention you got. If you're talking about a makeshift kitchen and you have all this people paying attention to you, but you're still like hustling. It's not like, okay, we made it. Now it's easy.
It was so hard.
Yeah.
So hard. Well, before we left, like just a few days before we left, I said, Chef, can we talk for a minute? Sure, sit down. So I sat down at his table, and I said, I'm excited about the trip, but something's happened. I've fallen in love. Marna was living in San Francisco, and we had fallen in love a few months before, and she was moving to New Orleans.
And you were
Well,
moving
we're
to San
supposed
Francisco.
to go to San Francisco. I said, Chef, I just,
Yeah.
it's breaking my heart,
Right.
because it was exactly the same time.
Yeah.
And in his wisdom, he made arrangements for me to just do 2 weeks up there, the first 2 weeks.
Right.
And then he made Raymond Sutton go up for 2 weeks.
And you sent the food.
Yeah, and Raymond didn't want to go, but
Talk about those
Oh,
first
wow.
nights, because
What a heart to do that too.
Oh, my
Most
gosh.
people, you're lovesick. It's the most intense pain you'll ever feel. And then for someone to understand you and they got so much going and being busy, what a heart to actually.
he was not
Listen
just
to
a
you.
great chef, he was a great man.
Yeah.
His humanity and so
amazing.
many stories I could tell you about what he did for other people
Yeah.
that he felt deserved it. So
opening
we were
night.
setting up the kitchen, and this pop-up was nothing short of a phenomenon. We had 200 people waiting outside all day. They were playing chess.
in line.
They bring lawn chairs and everything.
That's wild.
So we're
Camping
getting the
out.
kitchen set up, and I'm checking out my station because I'm the blackened guy, the barbecue shrimp guy, all that stuff. I got like 5 blackening skillets. We had blackened redfish, blackened prime rib, blackened lamb chops, and tons of barbecue shrimp all going at the same time. So we start pot cooking, and I realized the exhaust hood's not working very well. Well, as you know, with an exhaust hood, it sucks smoke and heat up,
And you're generating
but
a lot of smoke.
it replenishes it with fresh air.
Right.
So their fresh air supply was shooting out rather than
in the kitchen?
Yeah, it was backwards.
Oh.
So there was nothing getting sucked up and nothing replenishing. I couldn't blacken.
Could you see?
No. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
And so I did the first night, I think, like that. And then Kay and some of the other servers came and surveyed the situation. And Kay had the brilliant idea to get me some goggles and a mask.
Oh my gosh.
So I worked in goggles and a mask.
The obligatory 1 minute food check. You know the rules.
It's fabulous. Best I've
Amazing.
ever had.
Perfect.
And every 5 minutes, I'm dumping the sweat out of my goggles. It was like this. But
That's wild, dude.
it's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Chef saw in me. Whatever it takes. How you handle adversity is how you judge people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, and everybody we talk to, and it's very similar, I think, in each of our lives, plan A has to work. There's no plan B. There's
That's
no
right.
contingency.
Yeah.
And so you hear so many people say, well, what's your plan B? What's your contingency? You know, it's
To not
there's-
fail.
But it's like, well, there is none. This has to work. There's a magic in that where you just, you know,
That's so true,
I can
Drew.
remember that attitude right after we opened, you know, and in our first restaurant, Purple Parrot, and it was, you know, whatever, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. I mean, and then when COVID hit, it's like I'm having conversations with the family. I don't know, may have to sell the house, maybe moving into an apartment, but whatever we have to do, we're gonna do, and keep this restaurant open and keep the people paid. And
yeah, but did you ever go, well, let's get out of the restaurant business? We may get out of the restaurant business, or I may like totally pivot and do something boring that maybe is, you know, safer or no,
no,
because that would be worse than that would be
but
worse.
you're only a loser if you quit. Back to San Francisco. How many covers were y'all doing?
Oh, my
With
God.
you and goggles.
Well, I don't even remember. Well, we would cook till 1 or 2 in the morning. And I guess, I don't remember the numbers, you know, probably said 150, I don't know. And we probably did 500, 600, 700 people. But the problem was we would run out of food.
You didn't have anywhere to store it.
No, we had nowhere to store it. We didn't expect to be cooking till 2 in the morning. And so when we're 86 5 items of the 10 item menu, I would go to chef with a list of what we have left in the walk-in. And he would create dishes.
Wow.
Crab meat, piconette. Sauteed crab meat with pecans and rice. Like Meunier sauce, you know? And
That's super
right?
cool.
And we used to do stuffed melon with ham and shrimp and a type of hollandaise. And that was a standard dish for us in New Orleans.
Right.
Merleton pirogue is what we called it. And late one night, one irate San Francisco customer looked at the menu and said, I stood in line for 6 hours and all you got is an effing squash?
Did he eat it?
I don't know. But it was a really difficult, hard experience, all of it. And I hated it. You know, I was not a happy guy, and Chef saw that. But
next summer, New York.
right, 2 years later, we were
Look
going.
who's here.
Hey, oh my angel, hey sweetheart, hosting us.
Yeah, thank you for
So happy.
Hello again, long time no see.
Hey, good.
just
Did you have fun this morning with these guys?
I did. I had a really great time.
Good.
You know, so it's hard
So
to
happy to
eat
see
anymore,
you.
but yeah, you feeling good?
Yep, feel great. I'm having the best week of the year. You too.
I'm on my way to get my hair cut.
I'm going too.
You are. Not for my guy.
Old Metairie Barbershop on Metairie Road.
Okay, I go to Metairie Road too, but I go to Cajun.
Nice.
Maybe I'll try the old Metairie Barbershop.
It's,
There you
it's
go.
guys only.
I'm about 10 years beyond that. I ain't going to a barber
They
in 10
should be
years.
good now. They just got over their back to school rush.
Right.
God, so hard. all those kids, and you got to remember the school rules. Let's see, Jesuit needs this, Rummel needs that. We all have challenges.
Everything's been perfect.
Oh my God.
This is
They
amazing.
gave me a bucket of cauliflower. I was thinking about this all the way over here. Love it.
I had fun this morning.
That was good.
Go get your hair
You did
cut.
great.
Got my little dog in the car, left the air conditioning
Nice.
on.
Thank you, Chef.
Bye, Susan.
See ya.
So 2 years later,
In New York.
We learned all the lessons.
Yeah.
And in between that, you know, as you mentioned, everybody in the country was doing blackened redfish and Cajun food. It was a craze.
the book had come out.
Yes, it blew up. Everybody,
I don't think anybody can understand the phenomenon that was. There's nothing I can think of in the last, 40 years that's happened that changed. I mean, really, is there anything?
The
Can you think-
popularity of Cajun cuisine and
No, just any one food item or process that has come out. I mean, you could say sous vide, but that's not a national thing. Nobody's sous vide at home much. It's blackened fish. I mean, that's blackened everything.
you're absolutely right. The whole American food scene changed in 1980.
And you were in the middle of it.
And it just happened to be my formative years too.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like I'm the luckiest guy in town, honestly. But because of this popularity of Cajun food, people wanted to open Cajun restaurants around the country. So there was this gentleman in Santa Monica, Jake, who wanted to open a Cajun restaurant, and he named it Orleans. And he came to Chef Paul for help. And Chef, at this point, had seen all these bad versions of Cajun food being produced, which was insulting to his heritage. It really was.
Right.
yeah.
And so we formed a consulting company.
Is that where the spices and everything came from?
Yeah, that was already going. And
Yeah, because what makes a restaurant Cajun?
right,
That's a very that
it
term
ain't
was
just the spice.
right.
And so for Jake opening this restaurant in Santa Monica, he sent me out there for 2 weeks to train the staff. And I wound up going back to that restaurant 3 or 4 times. I loved it. I loved the people there. It was an all Mexican kitchen. I made really good friends. And we had a good time and did good stuff. And I went to Toronto, all these consulting gigs. I went to Lubbock, Texas. And on this trip in Lubbock, there was another consultant there, Glenn Adams, who impressed me so much. He wasn't a chef. He impressed me so much with his organizational abilities that when I got back home, I told Chef Paul, I met this guy, Glenn Adams. He's an organizational genius. And I said a few other nice things. And when New York came around, he hired Glenn. Glenn was our pilot. And let me tell you, this New York trip was the most organized thing.
Y'all were on the Upper West Side.
We
Your
were
natural
on-
history in my head.
Yeah,
That's where.
that's right. We were
Yeah.
across the street from the Museum of Natural History on Columbus Street.
Oh wow.
And beautiful neighborhood, summertime. And again, we're all in apartments. And I loved this trip so much. It was so much fun. We were better organized, you know. It was just
Lines down the street.
lines down the street again. Cage rules. You know, you stand in line. There's no reservations. And for better or worse,
Had the menu changed from San Francisco?
Woody Allen came to eat with us and came to the door. And Kay went out and said, I'm sorry you have to wait in line.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Woody Allen. But we were so prepped up for this in so many ways, Rob. We even brought our own policeman that worked security at Cape Paul's, NOPD guys that we became friends with.
How many did you travel up there?
We brought 3 of our cops with us.
How many people went?
Had to be 40, 35, 40.
Taking an entire restaurant, security, an organizational, got 40 people, putting them up in New York, and was that a month or was it longer?
A month.
A month.
That's crazy.
It's how many, 5 days, 6 days a week? 5 days a week. Thank you. Perfect. Perfect.
I didn't realize pop-ups were unique to the. 'Cause that seems, I guess you take so much for granted. Same thing with like Cajun culture. My dad's family's from Lafayette. You take so much for granted
Right.
when you're around it,
Right.
or you're just used to it, and it's so wild to me that was, my dad talks about that all the time. Eating shrimp in Illinois. My mom's from Chicago. Eating shrimp in Illinois for the first time, and they said jumbo shrimp. And he
Right.
sees the little shrimp on the plate. He goes,
Right.
what? And his uncle's a
$21.95 a pound.
yeah. His uncle has a shrimp boat. He goes, oh, we're tricking these Yankees, man. We're selling them all the small ones, keeping the big ones for ourselves.
Yeah, and the middleman's making the money.
And the middleman, exactly.
That's the problem with the shrimp industry.
Well, the crab deal, you hear all these Marylanders bragging about Chesapeake crab, and 60% of the year, the crab's coming from the Gulf.
Yeah.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting, we get so used to what is around us immediately. And that's a pretty unique experience you had, getting to go up to New York and then
Oh my God.
bringing the gospel, so to speak,
Right.
of Cajun food.
And we still had our friend that worked for Bill Graham. He was in New York at this time.
Okay.
I wish I could remember his name. But they owned the hottest disco in town. I forget the name of it now. It'll come to me. But he put all the Cape Paul's people on the guest list. Now, I can't dance. Let's get that straight. But on Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday night,
85.
we all went down to the disco and had a blast, man.
Nice.
But to your point, Drew, about taking our culture and cuisine for granted, that's easy to do, especially if you grew up in Cajun country or grew up in New Orleans. It wasn't until my first trip overseas on a cooking trip with Chef to London, when I came back, everything looked different. All the food tasted different. I appreciated
yeah.
the food more and everything more because of the perspective travel gives you. But after Katrina, a lot of us were worried about our culture.
Yeah.
About certain things disappearing, like restaurants not reopening. Such an important part of our culture. The biggest thing that changed with Katrina is the demographics. And so there were new restaurants opening in the year and 2 following. And I told Marna, this is great. The more diverse restaurant landscape. I love this.
More restaurants a couple of years after Katrina than there were pre-Katrina,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Yeah.
and mostly casual
Substantially.
cafes
Yeah.
type, owner operated.
Yeah.
Which is the bread and butter of New Orleans economy. But I saw these restaurants. I said, there's not one of these I could call a Creole restaurant, traditional Creole.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I called my friend Randy Sheremy up at Nickel State at the John Fo's Culinary Institute. This was 06, a year after Katrina. And I said, do you have a spot for me to teach up there? He said, oh yeah, Frank, we need somebody to teach classic French, soups and sauces. I said, no, wait. I'm not looking for a job. I want to teach what I know, what I learned from Chef Paul. I felt compelled to do what I could to protect and preserve Cajun and Creole food. And it took a little while, but they created a spot for me, literally created it. They created a new class called Contemporary Creole Acadian Cuisine. And I taught it on Tuesday nights for 17 years. And my motivation was exactly what you said, Drew. Most of the students, most of them are from Louisiana. They grew up like your dad did with all this great food, their heritage. But they're kids in the, 21st century. They want to learn all the stuff. They want to do sous vide and squeeze bottles and, you know, all the stuff. But I was there as a reminder of how important and precious this cuisine is. And I gave them actual recipes that work. You know, this is how does your mama make crawfish etouffee? Well, she, you know, here, do this. And so that was my gratification there too, not just giving people opportunity, but trying to keep this whole thing alive. Because I recognize, Rob, in my early years, in my 20s at Commanders, learning without recipes from the greatest Creole chefs you never heard of.
Yeah.
Leroy Thomas helped me so much. He took the patience. They don't train you on a station. You know, two guys don't show up. I'm doing saute, trout meuniere. He come show me how to put them in the skillet. He said, I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Tickets are rolling in.
Right, but I recognized then that that's how Creole cuisine has been passed down for 200 years. And I'm just a small part of a continuum. From generation to generation, these recipes and methods have been passed down. You know, his uncle works at Galatoire's, his nephew works at Antoine's. You know, it's this generational continuum that has allowed this cuisine to stay alive.
I think you're a large part of that continuum.
Thank you.
It really started, at least when I got to know who you were, with Brigtsen's. And so, I guess it's 1986. Do you go to Chef Paul? Or, thank you. Or does he come to you? How was that?
Oh, he
I know
came
he
to
was
me.
always supportive of you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh,
Well, you
thank
know, he was there opening night, of course, he and Kay. We did 72 people opening night, Kay and Paul and friends, you know. And
At Brigtsen's.
yes, at Brigtsen's opening night on a Thursday. And
He kind of bankrolled you a little bit too, didn't
he
he?
lent me the money to open the business.
Wow.
He, one night at Kay Paul's, he called me out to his table, which was his office, sat me down, and Kay sat down as well. And he looked at me, Rob, and he said, Frank, we think you're ready to go out on your own. And I said what I always said, yes, chef.
Huh.
And one of our servers had just
Wow.
got a real estate license. So she started showing me around. Paul hooked me up with his attorney and accountant, two of the best in the business. And after a couple of months, I found a place.
Had that Shotgun House been a restaurant?
Yes. It was a restaurant called Dante by the River.
Yeah.
And I had eaten there once. I'd sat on what is now table 21. But I was driving the real estate agent crazy. We'd look at these properties, and I just go, no. And finally, she said, Frank, what do you want? And I said, well, I want something, you know, manageable size, 50, 60 seats. I'll know it when I see it, you know, that old line. So our building that we're in now was not on the market, but this other agent was friends with the owner and knew she wanted to get out. So they had a discussion, and we went over to visit, and opened the front door, and with 1 foot in, I knew I was home.
Huh.
It was that I wanted to get out of the quarter. It's a beautiful little corner of the city in the river bend, quiet, peaceful, but easily accessed from anywhere.
Yeah, true.
And it felt like New Orleans. You know, it's an old home.
Yeah.
And it was a manageable size for me. And it was a really basic kitchen. Linoleum floor with 1 light bulb and 3 microwaves.
Those went out immediately.
But Chef Paul made it happen for me. He negotiated the deal, lent me the cash to do it out of his pocket, him and Kay, and gave me all the support possible. Allowed me to take Yankee, Steve Engelda from the kitchen.
Right.
I wanted Yankee to be my sous chef because he's a workhorse, and allowed me to take eventually Rhonda and Sandy as well, which was a big sacrifice for Kay. But he set me up. At the time, local TV station, WDSU, was a block down from Kay Paul's. So when Paul went on TV in the mornings, I'd go with him, and bring his coffee and set it all up. And became friends with the people there, the anchors and stuff. And I know Paul was telling them, try and give Frank a push. They liked me and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they did. I went on several times, and they even came over to Brigtsen's one day, and we staged a lunch. They brought the cameras and shot live at the restaurant. I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
It's because Paul asked them to.
So I remember, I've told you this several times before, but I'm going to tell Drew because he and I hadn't had this conversation. So my history, as you know, I ended up under fire, fired the chef. I got back in the kitchen with no experience whatsoever. So I tried to dive in as much as I could and teaching myself how to cook in a professional way. I had been a waiter for 6 years, And we were closed on Sundays. I would come down, try to eat around, and then go back and try to replicate those dishes. Within a couple of years, I was to get my feet under it. I really developed a passion for it and started studying it like I had never done. I just eaten down here. I'd never come with restaurant eyes. And Chef was getting all this great press, 5 beans in the Times Pick, and my grandma. I lived behind my grandmother's house, and she got the Times Picayune always. They deliver home delivery in Hattiesburg.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm reading about all this, and I remember I was like, this is when I first started cooking professionally in a kitchen. The first place I wanted to go was just Brigtsen's because I just thought I'm going to go here.
Rob.
And I took a night off, and Jill and I came down, and we're in the shotgun house. I see it right now, this whole thing. And I remember I asked. I didn't know enough to.
Oh, thank you.
And I asked the server. I said, I'm such a huge fan. Do you think I could go back and? You think I could go back and meet Chef? And they, absolutely.
Oh, I remember.
And so I'm walking back, and I'm thinking I'm going to walk into this. I'd been through Commander's kitchen. I knew he'd been Commander's. When you're going out to the patio area, you go through the kitchen. So I'm thinking there's going to be, this big. I walk back. Was it 6 burners? 6 burners, and there's a actual cast iron with oil in it. You were frying on the. There's no fryer.
No
I don't
fryer.
think. And Frank. And somebody over here, like he said, making salads or pantry and the whole thing in a dishwasher. It's like, it blew me away that, and in our kitchen, we're doing way less, premium meals out of what I was doing. And it took me 5, 6 people.
Yeah.
And here's this guy.
The skeleton crew.
At the stove by himself, pumping out this whole menu. And how long did you do that? Listen to this, dude. How many years was it just you, the 6 burners, and 2 others? Started in 86.
Started in 86, and I did all the cooking at night by myself for 12 years. And
talk about Jazz Fest. Jazz Fest
Oh, my
weekend.
God.
How many fish would you blacken? Or I know soft shell crab. How many soft shell
God.
crab would you cook?
my record is 42. That was the night we broke the record, and I did it by myself. The record still stands. I did 196 covers by myself with 42 soft shells.
42 soft shells. So he's breading, he's doing, and I guess a cast iron skid on the stove, not a fryer that's regulating the heat and doing the whole thing.
That's just freakish, man. Like,
And
how
it was
do
the
you-
smoothest night ever, Rob.
Yeah.
Everything clicked, man. It was what chefs live for, you know?
Yeah.
And the end of the night, you know, I remember the end of the night because this guy came and stood in the doorway and was watching me cook the last couple of tickets. And then I look up, he says, "Hi, Timothy Dalton." James Bond standing at my doorway. I know who you are. I remember that. It was so handsome. But I realized then that it had to change. By that time, I'm 43-ish, 42, 43. And, my back's hurting. That's when it started. But more importantly, with me on the stove by myself at night, my staff didn't get the opportunity to fulfill their potential. I lost a lot of great chefs because they couldn't get on the stove. So I got out my ruler and my graph paper, and I found a way to slip in a 4-burner stove next to the 6-burner to create 2 stations. So now I can train somebody and grill or saute, and we work together. And now we've accomplished what.
But that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. We've been open 39 years. So now it's the chef's dream. You have the opportunity to work every station in the kitchen, and we rotate, change it, so you get the cross-training aspect, but each individual, if they prove themselves with performance, they get the opportunity to do every station in the house. And it makes us better and makes them better. I want everybody to be able to realize their potential in my kitchen. And I have that now, and it's so joyous. But our work is really physical. I remember my original, my third sous chef, Larry, who was with me so many years. He was leaving his house to go to work one day, and a guy next door, said hello and stuff. And he said, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I'm a chef." And the guy said, "So all you do is cook all day?" Now, Larry was very polite about things, but yeah, that's all we do is cook all day and twist and turn and lift and never, ever stop. It's a full contact sport and very physical and very hard on your body. I'm living proof of that. I have severe osteoarthritis. I can't stand or walk for much. And so that's now in my vocabulary for my chefs. Don't take both of those. Take one at a time. Make 2 trips. No, I got it. I said, put it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just cook. But if you're lifting a 12-inch skillet full of food and turning around and passing it over
and over
50, 60 times a night,
Yeah.
that will definitely take its toll on your back. So, it's just like any profession. If you can go to work happy and leave happy, you got it. And that's what good chefs do. And, the joy we get from giving people a bubble of happiness for a couple of hours, that's what I take home at night, too. When 9/11 happened, it was such a shock to all of us. We were hollowed out, shattered. Never seen anything like it, never felt anything like it. And I think a lot of us didn't know how to react or what to say for a long time. And I think, like a lot of Americans, I was internalizing, reflecting on myself and my life and what I do. And I consciously thought at that time that what I do, serving food on a white tablecloth, that's trivial. What's the meaning here? Mm. And it ruined my self-worth. And then 2.5, 3 months after 9/11, I started to see people in the dining room smile again. I'd look over and people are talking and smiling and laughing. Yeah. It was noticeable. And I said, that's why I do what I do. This is a very meaningful profession. We give people time to celebrate what's good in life with family and friends, with food and wine. Food is the greatest medium in the world to share with. And they can share that joy and make new memories. And I had a total reaffirmation personally to my profession. And I consciously talk about that too to my staff. Like if I'm at the restaurant and I'm leaving, the last thing I say is make them happy, you know, because again, chefs in the kitchen have tunnel vision. They don't get to see that joy. They're not in the dining room schmoozing like I am. And I have to remind them of that. You know, it's not just the accomplishment of doing your prep list and having a smooth service. It's that part of it too. The people aspect of it is the most important aspect of our business. And
Totally agree.
And that goes to the suppliers, the fishermen, the farmers, the wholesalers, the staff, and our guests. And that whole A to Z process is complicated, but when it works, it's a beautiful thing.
You're talking about 9/11 or any time where you go, you know, what am I doing here? Like, working your tail off. What's the point? I always think of, you know, there's a reason it's harder to create than it is to destroy, you know? And we tend to focus a lot on what we destroy. And so then someone who's working their tail off in the kitchen doesn't get the same amount of shine that somebody who acts out and call it cheap attention. So, you know, if I reach out and smack you, it's an easy way to get attention, but it's only for a moment and it's not positive. To get good attention or expensive attention, you got to do the right thing for sometimes years, and somebody may never notice you, but that was never the point.
Right.
And I noticed this with people, everybody we've talked to who gets noticed. That was never the end goal. It was a side effect of something else that they were doing right in their life, you know? And if you make that the end goal, ultimately it's just unfulfilling, and you'll end up more disappointed than anybody else, you know? So I think of that a lot. Hearing you say that's inspiring, because it's like, oh man.
That's very well said, Drew, and I'm with you 100%. I have a similar saying. It's probably why I don't read Yelp reviews and stuff. I just can't do that. But my saying is, it's easy to criticize, harder to create. You know, I mean, no matter what it is. You know, you might be an auto mechanic and you're rebuilding a muffler or something, whatever it might be, an alternator. That's a craft, just like cooking is. You know, people say, "Oh, Frank, you took fine arts in college. Now you're an artist." Well, maybe, but I'm more of a craftsman. You only create a dish once. Here's a new cauliflower dish. That's a creation. But then you got to make it 3,000 times. That's a craft. You know, it's what I call.
I love that.
That's a great point.
Frank's 3 T's in the kitchen: taste, timing, temperature. I want every dish to taste as good as it can be. I want it to come out on time. And if it's a hot dish, I want it hot. Frank's 3 T's. Over and over and over again. Repetition is boring, but it breeds perfection. And I think Susan Spicer has 3 T's too.
Totally agree.
Taste, texture, technique.
Yeah.
She's brilliant that way.
Say those again.
Taste, texture, technique. I mean, her technique is flawless.
Yeah.
And she's such a detail-oriented chef. And I know that not from watching her, but from hearing stories about people that have worked with her.
Right.
You know, I remember years ago, she told me about an employee at Bayona, an employee whose specialty was washing the salad greens. And Susan said, "I don't know what I'm gonna do if I lose this guy. Nobody does it like he does. The care he takes." I mean, that's what goes into this.
Yeah.
The people part.
So you were mentored by a legend. In my mind, you're the keeper of the flame of this thing that started and may have done it even longer. Where does it go next? Who is out there in your mind in New Orleans right now who's going to carry the torch? Is there anyone?
Well, yeah, I mean,
But of this traditional Creole, this love of the heritage cuisine in this area.
right. I don't know. You know, as we talked about earlier, the demographics of our city continue to evolve. And so there's more diverse palates in the city. And you have to embrace diversity. Don't hate it. Somebody's different from you. Somebody's different food. Somebody looks different. Why do you hate that?
Yeah.
Embrace it. That's the beauty in life. I mean, look at food. We have palates that crave diversity. We don't want to eat the same thing every day.
Maybe.
Me.
Yeah. Frank's in.
We have palates that crave diversity. We don't want to eat the same thing every day, no matter how much we love it. And in this world, look at the diversity of foods, animals, fish, nuts, grains, trees, vegetables, berries. That's not an accident. And I think you have to look at human beings that way too. Appreciate the beauty of diversity, you know. We're all handsome gentlemen. The foremost handsome gentleman at this table.
Tanner.
But we're all different. You know, and I think that's part of where Creole culture and cuisine is going. We have, I mean, look at Saffron, that family,
Yeah.
you know, who I know pretty well. And they're incredible people. And the patriarch was the GM at one of the very posh private clubs here in New Orleans for many years. And he knows New Orleans. And he's given us the gift of his Indian cuisine. And you know, it's not all traditional. It's very creative stuff. And it's served in a very polished atmosphere. Latin cuisine is huge. Vietnamese cuisine. There's a young Vietnamese chef named Nina Nguyen, who I'm just learning about. I think we were both involved in filming a documentary that CNN is doing on New Orleans. And I think we were both paired in the food segment, although we didn't meet. But I've heard these stories. She's going to open a restaurant. She's done all kinds of stuff. So that's where it's going. You know, as far as gumbo, trout meuniere, and barbecue shrimp, I don't know if a new restaurant will open and do those things. So
Are you okay with that?
I'm not stopping.
Yeah. Ha!
There you go.
That's what I want to hear right there.
I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
It's got to be there, always.
100%.
It's got to be there
And
always.
and beyond the Antoines and the Arnauds and the Galatois, that next level that's not that those aren't real, because those are classic. You know, they
Of course.
define a certain type of cuisine, whatever. But what I love about what you've done and everything you've done is real. I mean, it's there's no pretension. It's just 100% authentic. It's real. You can tell the love and the passion that goes into it.
Thank you.
And I mean, it just shows. And you, whether you know it or not, I would bet there, and this isn't hyperbole at all, I bet there are thousands, literally thousands of people you've influenced in your career. And this is one of them right here, as a 26, 27-year-old kid that went in that restaurant wide-eyed and read about you and how, you know, I've always put you on a pedestal. And you are truly one of the greats, and you've made a huge difference in my life and gave me an example. I didn't have anybody, you know, I didn't have the mentor relationship that you had, and so all my mentors were really long distance, and I was thrown into the fire to lead a kitchen without having ever. I'd been a waiter, And so
I didn't know that part.
I had to do it long distance. Oh, we fired our chef opening night.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So I
Stuff
got back there
happens.
next night, and it was rough, and eventually I kind of got my sea legs, but
Wow.
it was because I was reading books. And I was reading magazine articles. I was reading the Times-Picayune, and I was saying, "Oh, that's what this guy's doing." Oh,
Now I
this
want to
guy,
hear
man.
all his stories.
Right.
No, you're such a huge part of my story. You know this. We have these
Well,
conversations.
in 2006, the year after Katrina, we also did the Great American Seafood
Oh, he
Cook-Off.
smoked me, man.
Oh.
He smoked me. We were competing, and I'm not into competing
neither.
with food. I don't believe in
Competitive
it.
art.
I don't either.
But Frank was the Louisiana representative that year. I was the Mississippi representative. I think it was my second time up, and I placed. But Frank
Placing
did
is
the
good.
Shell Beach diet, the seafood platter, which is what I eat every time I had it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's and
I call
he
it
just
the rebuilt seafood platter
yeah.
after Katrina.
Oh, nice.
So
But I agree with you. Food is not about competition. It's about community and compassion.
Yeah.
I can't watch those shows, man,
I don't
because only one person's leaving happy.
Yeah.
And the rest are scarred for life.
and that's not what sharing a meal is about.
That's right.
How about it, Steve?
There's only one person that can get dessert. He's the only one who made a happy plate.
Oh,
I would love to offer y'all dessert.
oh.
I'm just going to take my stuff to go. And that's
I use reverse psychology. When
That's
I tell
funny.
people they can't have dessert, they're like, I am going to have dessert.
I am gonna
I'm
have
gonna steal that. So just enlighten us.
We've got pecan pie with whipped cream. We'll happily make it a la mode for y'all. We've got an espresso brownie with caramel sauce and coffee ice cream. And last but not least, we have a lemon buttermilk cheesecake served with berry compote. When I tell you they make everything from scratch,
Of course.
we make ginger snap cookies from scratch that we don't serve. We only make them so we can then crumble them up and make the pie crust for the cheesecake.
All right, one of each with 3 forks.
You had
But
me at
but
espresso
We got to get
brownie.
Chef out of here in about 5 or 7 minutes. So
We're asking everybody this. My question for you to close this awesome time we've gotten to spend with you, it's a great meal, is what was the last thing you listened to, music-wise? On the way here, at your house, what do you listen to?
jazz, 70s rock, and reggae.
I like all those things.
When I had my last MRI, you're in there 30 minutes in the machine and they put headphones and they ask you, what kind of music do you want to listen to? And I said reggae, and they all three went, what? Bob Marley? Okay, yeah.
nice.
I love reggae.
Same.
You're 12 years old at home. It's your birthday. Your mom says, Frank, I'm going to cook whatever you want. Tell me your favorite meal. You're 12-year-old, what your mom's going to cook for you.
Catfish and grits
Nice.
and red velvet cake.
Nice.
Yeah, my mom, Ernie Yelverton Brigtsen, was an angel. And she was born and raised in Uniontown, Alabama, a small town in the southwest corner near Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so she was a country girl. And she moved to New Orleans to go to nursing school at Southern Baptist Nursing School. And she eventually learned to cook for my New Orleans father's palate, gumbo, red beans and rice, and things like that. But she brought some of her country loves with us too. We had grits all the time. I mean, some winter mornings we'd just have a big bowl of grits before we went to school. But sometimes for dinner she would do this catfish and grits thing. Oh my gosh. And, heat up a cast iron pan of oil, brown paper bag with cornmeal, salt, and pepper, put the catfish in, shake it up, and fry it hard, as we say. Crispy catfish with grits. And I'd load the grits with butter and salt and black pepper. And I'd put ketchup on my fish and hot sauce, Tabasco, and then mix it all up.
Has that made an appearance in your menus over the years?
Oh yeah, we've served it as an appetizer, but I don't do ketchup, Rob.
Yeah.
I do Creole sauce
There you go.
and stone ground grits
There you go.
and wild caught des almonds cat food.
There you go.
It's going to be in my cookbook.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
I've been talking to him for years. You need to do a cookbook. You need to do a cookbook. You need to do a cookbook. He's working on it now. It'll be out for the 40th anniversary of Brigtsen's.
March.
It's going to be huge, Chef.
Thank you,
It's going
Rob.
to be huge.
Congratulations.
This is breaking news, y'all.
Yeah.
This is the first public announcement.
Oh, well,
You heard it here
we're
first.
honored.
It's something, you and everyone has asked me for 40 years. You need to write a cookbook. You need to write a cookbook. And now's the time. I have a brilliant partnership with Ricky Thomas from Blue Runner Foods and his team. The photography is all done. It's fantastic. And an art director, a project manager. We are rolling. And I'm so excited to bring this to the public. This is my legacy. It's my life.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be there in a book called Color of Flavor.
Nice. Brown.
Brown is the color of flavor.
See?
You're a good student, Rob.
I've been listening to you for about 40 years. Dude.
Yeah, right.
So hey, we need to have a launch party at my restaurant in Hattiesburg. Once you
Oh,
promote
yes.
there, you come up. We do a book signing. We do the whole thing.
I would love it.
All right, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
really
your time,
enjoyed
buddy.
the conversation, Drew.
Thank you.
man.
Appreciate you. This is
really
great.
appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Seriously.
Let's hope dessert gets here before you have to leave.
All good.
Oh, it's got 5 minutes. Thank you, Tanner.
I loved our server at Rosedale. He was cool. The story about Stevie Nicks and his mom saving Stevie Nicks at was it the dungeon they were at in
Yeah, it
New
was the
Orleans?
dungeon.
And she fell.
Which I think the dungeon just closed like right before we.
He said it was urban legend in the episode.
Okay, so it didn't.
So I don't know. We can't confirm. We don't have that technology to
I don't
confirm.
go to the dungeon anymore, so I don't know. I used to go.
You got out the dungeon.
Yeah, in my wilder days.
We can't go in the dungeon in a suit.
I do have a suit on today. I'm sorry. I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to be respectful. I had a speech in Jackson today and wheeled in on 2 wheels very late. Drew was very patient. But yeah, I didn't have time to change clothes. So I feel very out of place and uncomfortable in a suit.
This is why I think you and I get along, is that I can see in your eyes that it genuinely bothers you that you were late. I'm fine. Like, no one's upset. I can tell that it genuinely bothers you. And
5 minutes early.
I do respect that. The suit, okay, whatever. I do respect that it bothers you that you were late, because that is underrated. I don't think it would bother most people.
Man, well, I'm married to one. And it doesn't bother her at all. It's the story of my life. But 5 minutes early is late for me. So I truly apologize.
Oh, no, you're good. Well, so going
cool
back.
boots too, by the way. I like the boots.
Thank you. I appreciate it. These are, no, I'm not going to say that. They're not shit kickers, so this doesn't make sense. Okay. Well, thank you. I like them as well. Natural transition.
Yeah.
The energy in Rosedale, you were right. It's fun. The food was insane. That bourbon chicken that I had was just, I was the only person who, as he pointed out, had a happy plate. I tried to eat politely, but I can't. I mean, I scarfed it down. I forgot I was on camera. I just just listening to Frank talk about he was on a rocket ship with Paul Prudhomme. What a cool, unique experience.
And then Prudhomme set him free and actually bankrolled his opportunity and chance. What a kind man.
Well, it didn't just bankroll. He used his accountant, his lawyer. Prudhomme negotiated the deal for the place, that shotgun house. Like, he went way beyond that. And one thing Frank said that stuck with me too is that Paul Prudhomme was a great man. He wasn't just a brilliant chef. He wasn't, just a culinary genius. He was a good person, and I don't know. It's just really inspiring to see people who do great things. And I think sometimes people think if I'm really good at something, this excuses other types of behavior. And you see that across all industries. It's just human nature. So when you do see somebody who's like really making an effort to make other people's lives better, it really is inspiring. I think that's something anybody could take away from, regardless of what industry they're in.
And Frank's got that in him as well, to help others and to lift others up. And, you know, he's living the example that was set for him. And so happy he chose Rosedale. And like, you know, I've always said, if somebody set out and said, let's create a restaurant just for Robert, it would be Rosedale. It's casual, even though I'm in a suit. It's casual. You know, the service is great. The food's great. Susan's in there working it, you know, in an old jail. And actually on the site, Louis Armstrong was in orphanage, you know, so pretty cool.
There's a lot of energy in that place, and the energy now is positive. So it was so much fun. Very appreciative to Frank. And Frank, just personally, I have so much respect for you, man. Like, what an awesome guy. I really just respect Frank. Watching it back was like, I got to see all the little, just, you can, his
kindnesses.
Little, yeah, and then
small kindnesses.
when we had the cameras on, like we had one clip where I kind of cut things for time, and then it cut us saying please and thank you to the server. And then there's a lot of people upset about it. And I was like, no, we're very polite. But when you have a lot going on, you also don't notice, like, maybe I do forget to say thank you or please, because we got cameras. We're trying to, you know, keep the conversation flowing, be courteous to the guests and all that. And so you just miss a lot of small things. So getting to work through it, it was cool watching Frank. Just going, man, this dude's awesome. And then we can't forget to mention his new book.
So Frank's got a book coming out. It's coming out in March, not long. Check it out. The Color of Flavor by Frank Brigtsen, a lifetime in the kitchen. And like we said earlier, you know, Paul Prudhomme, there was really Paul Prudhomme and Alice Waters. Those were the first two kind of real American-focused regional chefs who became famous and notable. And Frank is that next generation. And he's still cooking. If you haven't been to Brigtsen's, go to Brigtsen's in the River Bend in New Orleans and have a meal with him. Meet Marna, his wife, who works the front door. His sister-in-law is in there as well. It's a true family feeling and family-oriented restaurant concept, and it's excellent.
Really excited about the book, and Blue Runner really helped him out with that. Yeah. And he said, you know, it's going to be a good one. At time of shooting, they had finished all the photography, so really excited to see that. And it's time. He said everyone has told him that, but it's time to have a book. And we'll link that below eventually once it's for sale. And you can get your copy and support Frank and Cajun Cuisine. Thanks for watching. Onward.
You did it. Yeah.